I'm going to lump a few questions together about the angels that fell, the number of angels that fell. And it all falls under the heading of this question. How do we know the vague passages in Daniel and other books of the Bible tell us of the falling of Lucifer and other angels? That's a great question because of the way that it's worded. These passages are not necessarily vague, just the genre of literature, the type of literature that we're reading right now was not meant to be taken as non-fiction prose, meaning it's a lecture from a history book. It's taken as apocalyptic literature. Daniel, Revelation are very much a unusual genre of literature that's not found anywhere else in the world. It's called apocalyptic literature. And the best that I can tell you about this without giving you an entire semester's worth of scholarly hermeneutics lessons is that apocalyptic literature are highly symbolic, but the symbols have very specific and very definite meanings. You can interpret them really wrong and get yourself in a lot of trouble if you don't know what you're doing. Daniel 8, Revelation 8 specifically refer to angels that were swept out of heaven, but it uses language like stars instead of angels. Isaiah 14 uses language of Satan falling from heaven like lightning, and Matthew 24, Jesus refers to stars getting cast down or turning dark. Those are the references that we interpret to mean Jesus is describing what happened spiritually when those angels rebelled against God and got kicked out of heaven. How do we know that? Well, the best way to know that is we use proper hermeneutics, the science of interpretation, on this very unusual style of literature, and we take the symbols and figure out what they're really referring to. But here's two follow-up questions to this. Somebody asked, is it true that when Satan fell, 1/3 of the angels fell with him? That is found in Revelation 8. It's also found in Daniel 8, and it's a reference to the dragon's tail sweeping 1/3 of the stars out of heaven, or 1/3 of the stars go dark. That's where we understand Satan is the dragon, and the tail that swept the stars out were the stars were the angels that fell with him. That's where we get that 1/3 idea from, 1/3 of the angels that were fallen with Satan. Last question, how did 1/3 of the angels get to choose to go with Satan? I don't think they chose. I think they kind of mounted a rebellion, and they were on Satan's side when Satan tried to depose God from his very throne in heaven. And because they were on that team, when God pronounced judgment on Satan, everybody on the team God pronounced judgment on at the same time. That's where we get these references. These vague passages that you refer to are really not that vague. They're just different styles of literature. And we get these ideas from Matthew 24, Isaiah 14:12, Daniel 8, Revelation 8.